in order to shine on Instagram, it's all about that, what I call North Star photo. And so even if you don't have a professional photographer or you're not a great photographer, there's ways that you can set yourself up for success on Instagram.
That was Sue B. Zimmerman, and this is episode 77 of the Chopped Podcast. Hey everyone, I'm Marley of the blog Namely Marley. I'm your host, and this is the Chopped Podcast. You know, this is the podcast designed for people just like you, bloggers who love food. So what do we do here? Well, each week my goal is to share with you interviews, thoughts, stories, everything related to food blogging so that we can all learn together about what works with food blogging and maybe even a little bit about what doesn't. Talking about what works, today is just one of those episodes that's full of a lot of great information about how to get your Instagram game on. I can't even say that right. Instagram game on. Yes, that's hard to say. Try it. Today, I'm talking to Sue B. Zimmerman. She's of the blog by the same name. And you probably heard of Sue B. Zimmerman because she's been on social media marketing podcasts and she's spoken at their conferences, both in person and the online version that they have of their expo. She's also done a couple of creative live sessions, and she's just all over Instagram too. So if you're trying to crack that Instagram nut, you're in for a real treat today because Sue is here to talk to us about Instagram strategy for food bloggers. So not only is Sue B an expert at Instagram, her daughter happens to have a food blog and is doing quite well on her Instagram account. So Sue talks about that. And she also gives examples from some of the clients that she's working with that have food blogs. So she's got a lot of expertise in what works with food bloggers on Instagram. So I think you're really going to love this discussion. It's very heartfelt. As we've discussed before, Instagram is so popular in the food blogging community. And I talked with Jen Herman recently in episode 61 about ways to grow your Instagram following. She gave so much great advice. You should definitely go back and check that one out. But then how do you build engagement once you start growing your following? It's not always easy. And as Sue mentions in today's episode, there's a lot of competition in the food blog community. But what I love is that Sue does not focus on the competition. She focuses on knowing yourself, knowing your audiences, and then finding ways to engage. And I just love the tips that she has to share. It's really some continuation of this whole, it's like a spiritual side or the Zen side of being an entrepreneur. So I really love this discussion. I'm so excited to share this interview with you. But first, I wanted to say a big, huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the Chopped Podcast. You're the reason that this podcast landed on the recommended podcast list on iTunes. I'm so excited every time I see that happen. It first happened with a new and noteworthy, and from time to time, it happens again where the Chopped Podcast is on the recommended list. It's always a real treat to see that. Your reviews and your subscriptions is what makes that happen, and it really means a lot to me. So if you haven't done so already, please head over to iTunes today to leave a review. Also, the Chopped Podcast is now available on Stitcher and even Google Play, which means if you're an Android user, you can subscribe and listen to the Chopped Podcast on your phone. How cool is that? Also, a quick reminder about the Chopped Conference. The date is getting closer and I'm really excited. And we're actually extending the early bird ticket prices, but not for too long. So hurry over to choppedcon.com today and click on register for your chance to meet amazing food bloggers and become a part of one of the most exciting food blogging events of the year. We can't wait to see you there. Okay, let's get right to today's feature interview with Sue B. Zimmerman. So put on those earbuds, turn up the volume, and let's talk about all things food blogging and so much more. Hey everyone, I'm happy to have Sue B. Zimmerman. She's with the site by the same name, and she's a return speaker at Social Media Marketing World. I know you all have heard of her, so I could go on, but we'll save some of that for a little bit later. Sue, I just wanted to say welcome to the Chopped Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me here. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I am so excited to talk with you because, I think I mentioned to you that the main audience for this podcast is food bloggers, and a lot of them just love Instagram. And so you are the guru on Instagram. And I was, really looking forward to talking with you. I've got a lot of questions, but I was just wondering if you could give a little bit of background. How is it that you became an Instagram guru?
Well, before I go there, since we're talking to foodies, I want everyone to know that I do have a degree in nutrition
Yeah.
from Simmons College here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I am definitely the type of entrepreneur that is always committed to self-care and health and fitness. So I love that this is your audience. And also one of my three daughters, Lila, who has an Instagram account called Fresh Fit and Fearless, has an amazing foodie account. She's an Instagram influencer. She's got a great feed, and we can talk about that more later if you want to. But Lila and her twin sister, Kira, are the reasons that I teach Instagram marketing today. We were on vacation a little over 3 years ago in Belize, and they were literally scrolling on their phones, not looking at me when I was talking to them. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's like, you're not even looking at me. And they were like, Mom, we're on Instagram. Don't get on Instagram because then we know you're going to teach it. Because at the time I was teaching social media, I had a retail store on Cape Cod in Massachusetts called Scooby-Doo. I also taught social media for 8 years. I'm very versed on pretty much every platform. My favorites as of late, obviously, are Instagram, Periscope, and Snapchat.
Yeah.
And so I'm an early adopter. I'm an entrepreneur. I seize opportunities as they're presented to me. And so my twins presented to me this challenge, and I'm like, I'm all in. I started using it strategically. And the key word here is strategically for my business on the Cape, Scooby-Doo, and subsequently my sales that one summer, this is a seasonal store, grew 40%.
Wow.
And so being the entrepreneur, being a teacher, being someone that likes to see other people have great success, I wanted to teach and help other business owners all over the globe have success. So when I got home from a conference in California, I put my cell phone in the tree, and this YouTube video, you can link it. It's like, I am the Instagram gal. I literally manifested that I was going to be teaching Instagram to a global audience. And the video is pretty hysterical to watch because this is before I even knew what I was doing on YouTube.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm the type of person that kind of gets what I want by knowing where I'm going with an idea or a business. And I've had 18 different businesses. So I am a serial entrepreneur, but I have to be honest, where I am right now, teaching Instagram to the world, speaking, courses, blog posts, you name it, I teach it. I can see doing this for the rest of my life because Instagram is not going away. And like you said to me before we got on the call, the one thing that people say about Instagram when you ask them why they like it, they say Instagram is fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think social media is fun. And so I get to live in this platform every day and have a shit ton of fun. And it's great.
That's great. And I like your approach because I heard you say the word strategic. So I know that you want to really understand the strategic way of using it. However, you also have this like the right mentality behind it as well. Like, you're just putting your thoughts out there. Like, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to make this happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm a positive person in general. I don't surround myself by any negative energy. So even people who are spamming me on Instagram or dropping obnoxious questions there or on YouTube, I just like I don't pay attention to the haters and the people that are just not in the same kind of positive energy space that I am. If someone's writing something that I can explain in a smart, polite way, I will. But I just don't have time for people that just aren't nice. And on Instagram, to be honest, because a lot of accounts look like these picture perfect worlds.
Yeah.
And there's a disconnect with some people that you meet in person or some businesses aren't completely aligned. And I am authentically the person that you see on Instagram at Subi Zimmerman, my business account at the Instagram expert. Those photos, the pictures, the energy, the personality, I am that person in person and can't imagine being anyone else.
Well, let's get into that because I think that's a source of pain for some food bloggers. It's like there's this expectation that every photo has to be perfect and beautiful, and that's not always real life. And so I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, so let's go back to my daughter because she's a perfect example. She's only 20. She's in college, and if Lila can rock her Instagram account, anybody listening can. she started her account because she was really passionate about eating healthy, like I'm sure a lot of your listeners are. Mm-hmm. And she just loves photography and has a really creative eye. She started posting and sharing some of her recipes. And Lila knows that in order to shine on Instagram, it's all about that, what I call North Star photo. And so even if you don't have a professional photographer, or you're not a great photographer, there's ways that you can set yourself up for success on Instagram. And Lila does this beautifully. Her photos are always usually taken in natural light. Mm-hmm. If not, she'll use foam board, which is something anyone can get for $4 at Staples, at Office Max, at CVS. I don't know like where you guys live, but any place that sells stationery supplies. And by using the reflection of a white board, you can really set yourself up for success with Instagram. What you don't want to post on Instagram are grainy, crappy, crowded, dark photos. Those just don't, people want to feel like they're looking at a magazine. And that's the analogy that I always use, is that you follow accounts on Instagram as if you would subscribe to magazine subscriptions, and you get to scroll through these accounts like you would turn the page in your favorite magazine. So you need to consistently be sharing your content visually, in a visually stimulated way, whether it's videos, whether it's photos, but you always need to give value. So you don't have to be that professional photographer. And back to Lila, I mean, she has had so much success, not only in creating an amazing blog on her website where she gives away recipes. She has an ebook where she's made over $1,000 selling a $14.97 ebook telling people how to create smoothies and oatmeal bowls and make delicious desserts, all kind of focused on the life of a college student who claims they don't have the time or the space to do it. So her demographics are really focused. What I want to bring to everyone's attention about Lila, which is amazing, is that every post that she makes, she gets over 500 to 1,000 likes. And I don't even get that as the Instagram expert. And I know part of it's because of her age. She's just turned 20. Yeah. And part of it's because all of her followers are total foodies. So to all the foodies listening in, I'll mention a couple other great foodie accounts, but make sure you go check out Lila. Look at who's following her, but look at who's Lila is following. Because if you click into who Lila is following, you will learn from great accounts like Sweet Green, She Glows, Chia DC, all of these accounts that she's following, many who have hired Lila to be an influencer marketing. So Lila's now making money posting products on her feed. Sometimes she gets free products. Sometimes she makes money. If you go to, and you should totally link up this post, if you go to Subi Zimmerman on Instagram, and I know today is April 26th, but my fourth post to go is a picture of Lila taking a photo outside of these delicious date balls and chocolate that she made that's all vegan. And if you tap on that photo, you will see the 10 accounts who have either sent her free products or have paid her to post. And of those 10, 3 of them are products and 7 of them are food. And I say this because the products still align with her values, her business, her branding. And she only says yes to businesses that align with who she is and what she does. She does not want to just say yes to get featured or yes to make money. And I think that if you're going to be true to who you are on Instagram, you want to always have your core personal and business values aligned.
So that in other words, like you say, when somebody comes and approaches you, you know whether you're going to say yes or not based on whether they, like you say, align with your goals and values.
Right. And so Lila's a great example of that. And I know like she's gotten so many great jobs, like paying jobs, from Oat My Goodness actually pays her to give out samples at Whole Foods in Maryland. She's a student at the University of Maryland. Uh-huh. Another account, Chia DC, they make the most phenomenal tacos, and they used to be at all the farmer markets in DuPont Circle, and Lila and her sisters would all meet up. All my daughters are in the DC area. Mm-hmm. And Lila did such a great job posting the tacos that they, kind of hired her to some degree as a brand ambassador. and they give her free tacos, and she's helped them create content, which is really great. And then another account recently that Lila started working with is called Kale and Chocolate. Elise has this beautiful Instagram account, and let's talk about this for a second. She's paralyzed with feeling like every single post needs to be perfect, to the point where she told me she misses her workouts at the gym and is unproductive days because she gets so much anxiety out of posting the perfect picture. And if you look at her feed, she's successful. She has about as many followers as Lila. But Lila doesn't sweat the small stuff. I mean, Elise has a cookbook. She's older, so she's coming at this from a completely different angle. So there's all types of success that you can have on Instagram, and that's why I'm showcasing both of these accounts. Another great account for your listeners to check out is called Juice Keys. Juice Keys is an actual physical location in North Carolina, and Kelly was a client of ours. Before she had 1,000 followers, she needed a hashtag strategy, and we worked with her, and I'm happy to say that she has almost 28,000 followers, and she's doing amazing, and her account is so delicious and awesome to look at. And if anyone listening has a hashtag headache, we have a hashtag handbook that we've created that helps people really get hyper-focused with the relevant hashtags to use to attract the ideal follower and not the spam bots,
And you think the hashtags are a great way of growing your following count?
It's one of the many ways that we strategically teach Instagram marketing.
That's great. I mean, I know sometimes it's a source of conflict within food blogging communities. Like some think that they're the devil and others know that, it's a great way to grow your account.
Oh, yeah. And when your account can be as huge as my good friend Jada from Simple Green Smoothies with almost 500,000 followers.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry so much about your hashtag strategy because you already have attracted your followers who just fall in love with everything that you post. But when you're starting out, hashtags are the magic on Instagram.
And I think that's something important to consider. Like when you're listening to some Instagram person speak on a panel and they say things like, don't use hashtags. I imagine they could be somebody who already has a large following and they don't have to use hashtags.
Yeah, I mean, I still use hashtags because so many people discover me in the hashtag hub Instagram tip or Instagram tips. They're like, oh my gosh, I found you on Instagram under this. And I'm like, yes, my hashtags are working, or Instagram strategy or Instagram coach or Instagram for business. People find me from my hashtag strategies, and it's important to know which ones they are.
Yeah. So I like this line of discussion that we're having here because what I'm hearing you talk about is some people that you work with that have it's like a combination between a strategy, like using certain hashtags and probably following advice that you're giving them and the consulting work that you're providing for them. But also there is some passion that's there as well. And I think sometimes that can be a tricky line to dance. I'm curious if you have tips for that.
Yeah, well, I am a business coach. I do one-to-one coaching and group coaching. And a lot of times my clients that I'm coaching need to understand, I always say, if you're not having fun, don't do it. Why are you waking up doing what you're doing? And a lot of people are driven by money. That's not my motivation every day. My motivation is to really have the freedom to do what I want. And the money allows me to have that freedom. But first and foremost, it's me helping as many business owners as possible have success on Instagram so that they can make more money, because I don't think making money has to be so challenging. I think people overthink so much in their business, on social, with all the software and everything they need to do. And there's really simple, easy ways that you can break things down to make money. And it's just never really been a challenge for me. So that might be part of the reason that I think this way. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant at all. I'm just trying to say that I know that if you simplify a lot of what you're doing in your business and not comparing yourself to someone else that's doing it better, or you think that's doing it better, or a competitor, but really have your own voice and your own branding and your own messaging. So much of the success that I've experienced over the past 3 years has really come from the fact that I'm able to stay top of mind. Mm-hmm. I'm able to be memorable by my hashtag signs, my props that I share on social, on Periscope, when I travel, when I speak. And more importantly, just my ability to really help other people with their pain points first and foremost, and lead with that, even when I'm posting on Instagram, and with no expectations back, like no, you know, I'm just doing what I love, and it ends up turning into this hugely successful business.
I think that's so great. And it sounds to me, what I hear when I hear you talking about that is like a lack of fear. And in other words, like, I think sometimes it's the fear that holds us back. Like, if I post this picture and I get 5 unlikes, or I've heard other food bloggers talk about this, like if they post a different picture, they're not going to, not everybody's going to like it. They're going to get unlikes. And that's fear based, I think. And I'm hearing you say, like, use a prop or do it, have some fun with it, enjoy it. And that makes a difference.
Yeah. So one of the things I coach people with a lot, just by default, is confidence. And yeah, to that point, I honestly don't care what people think of me. I mean, I do, but I don't. I rock myself, my personality, my greatness, and not everyone's gonna be attracted to me. Some people like get annoyed with my Boston accent, or I talk fast, or they're like, how old are you? You're too old to be teaching social media. And I'm like, oh my God, are you really talking about my age? Because how about my experiences and my stories? Because that has a lot to say for who I am and my character. So I get a lot of negative Nellies and people judging me, and you just have to work past that, because at the end of the day, you will attract those people you're meant to serve. And I can say this based on experience of just all the successes and all the businesses that I have. I just don't obsess about what other people do or say. I'm me. I'm just me. I do me. I do me well. I'm very visual. I understand how to make money. I understand the power of Instagram, social media. More importantly, the power of relationships and building your community. And people just need to understand that you can't be selling on Instagram. Instagram is not where you sell. Instagram is where you build relationships, where you have conversation. It is not where you sell. And too many people think that they can use Instagram to make money first. Do I make money from Instagram? Absolutely. Do I sell on Instagram? No, I don't sell my stuff. It's not obvious that I'm selling.
So in other words, it has to be a soft sell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It has to be a soft sell. It has to be done in a way where you're giving value first.
I see that. Okay. That makes sense. That I think can be the difficult part where, you want to make sure, like, well, here, I've heard you say this in other interviews, that you really think it's important to have a call to action. In other words, not just like putting a post out there, but that post has some kind of engagement. And that's probably how you build the best engaged audience.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm the queen of call to actions. I mean, just follow me on Snapchat. I mean, I get people to cross promote from wherever I am to where I want to take them. So an example of that is on the Instagram Expert today, I am driving traffic to the link in my bio, which is actually taking people to my blog. It's my latest blog post. And the reason we like to drive traffic to my blog and not necessarily to my opt-in sometimes is because when people land on our blog, we can retarget them with Facebook ads. So I'm always thinking conversions, and, opt-ins and conversions. That, my goal on Instagram, it's not to make money first. It's to get opt-ins onto my email list so that we can stay in touch with people and grow our list and get people over to our blog, our website, to download our strategy guide or to read our latest blog post. So whenever we post a blog, I start with a description on Instagram. And so if you look at my account, the Instagram Expert, and you look at the visual that I posted this morning, which is Doodles by Lily. She's a young artist. She's so friggin' talented. I gave a shout out to her, and she's one of the accounts that I featured in my blog. And the reason I chose this photo is because it really aesthetically lined up on my feed. So I'm always looking at the vibe of my feed. Remember, we talked about the magazine look and feel. Well, my magazine look and feel is all about color and transition of color and color story. And then if you go over to my personal account, Subi Zimmerman today, Lily did a doodle of me. And so it's on my personal account because it's me. And I'm saying on that account, if you want to get more inspiration, head on over to the Instagram expert. So that's a call to action. So now I'm taking people from my personal account to my business account, but I'm shining the light on Lily because I believe the more you shine the light on other people, the more the light shines on you. That is my favorite quote. And people have turned my quote into great visuals on Instagram, and it's wonderful. So I am giving a shout out to Lily and really hitting home with trying to drive traffic to that link in my bio, which will take you to my website and my blog. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. I get that. Yes. And
Cool.
I also like the idea of how you've created a certain feel to your feed.
Yeah.
And so what are some other ways? Like I heard you talk about color. I've heard you talk about props. We've also talked about how to have great photos and also calling out other people in the post itself. Are there other things people can do to make sure their feed is, appealing?
Oh my gosh, I could talk about this for hours. You have to understand, I've done 2 Instagram Creative Live courses, and I talked for 6 hours a day for 3 days. So that's 36 hours of how to do Instagram for business content. But for your listeners, I mean, it's really, you want your feed to have a certain vibe. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you want. So again, let's take your listeners to the Instagram expert account. And I invite you guys to follow the accounts that I'm following. I'm following under 300 accounts. They all have amazing Instagram feeds, and you can get inspiration from each and every one of them. Mm-hmm. I like to do challenges on my interviews. Can I give your listeners a challenge?
Yes, let's do that.
So I have this great hashtag. It's called Sue B made me do it. Sue B made me do it. So everybody that's listening to this podcast, I challenge you to take a selfie. Are you listening when you're working out? Are you listening when you're cooking for the kids? Are you at your kids' ballet? Are you walking your dog in the woods? Like wherever you are, take a selfie, post it on Instagram, use the hashtag, and mention me at Subi Zimmerman at the Instagram expert. And what's your Instagram account?
It's namely Marley, but also I have another one for Chopped. It's Chopped Con. So
where do you want to send people?
Let's send them to Chopped Con.
Okay, CHOPPEDCON.
That's right.
Okay, great. Yeah, but mention ChopCon as well, and so you'll get a notification. Is the point?
Excellent. That's great. I love that. It actually makes it fun, then, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
So that builds engagement. What about video? Does that help with engagement as well?
Yeah, and video does well, but let's just talk about what we just did for a second. So what happens is all your listeners, now we're taking them off the podcast. We're bringing them on Instagram, which is where I like to connect with people further. And now everyone that's listening can see who else has listened and potentially connect with each other. So it's not just to serve me and you, it's to serve your community that listens to you and your interviews so that they can have a more solidified relationship on another platform.
I see. Okay. So that helps everybody if everybody's listening to this podcast, they have a combined, common interest.
Yeah.
So find exactly. a place for them to be together. That makes sense.
I grow my community wherever I go. It's all about my community, hands down.
So here's the thing is that takes some time on the part of the influencer to think about how can I build community wherever I'm going? If you're speaking at a conference, how can I build community there?
Oh yeah. I mean, that is my goal. I mean, my community trumps everything I do. And at the end of the day, it's the people. I would rather have other people talking about me than me talking about myself all day. Seriously. And so this is why I say yes to so many podcast interviews, because you never know who's listening to this interview. And I might have touched somebody's life in a way that they're like, oh my gosh, I need to talk to her. I need to do a consult, on my website, subizimmerman.com. I do free 15-minute consults with people. Yeah. And I want to know people's pain points. I want to know what they like and what they don't like so that I can create the best content possible to serve the people that are connected to me and the way I teach.
Well, and another thing I really love about that is I think if I were to create a stereotype of the common food blogger, I think there is this tendency to want to do everything ourselves. And I think the more that we can find resources like yours, for example, where you give us, for free, a 15-minute call, or even if, it's a consult, you even have consultation on how to write the bio on your Instagram feed. I mean, that could be a minimal thing that could have a really big impact.
Oh yeah, people pay me money to do their bios for them, like because you need to have the perfect bio to have success on Instagram. So that's one of my services that I offer. A lot of people have no clue how to write the perfect bio.
Yeah. I think it's hard to write about yourself too. So having somebody outside help with that is really good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes. Okay. So let me ask you about the video again, though. So should people you be using video on Instagram?
If you're comfortable with video and you know that it can add value, absolutely, because views on videos get counted after 3 seconds. I do videos every now and again. Usually, the videos that you see from me are when it's the intro to my YouTube video, and if you watch or go look at my blog, that is in my blog as well. So the way that we create our blog posts are, I do a YouTube video, we transcribe the video, I have one of my writers write a really great blog that could stand alone by itself, and I shoot with my team members the intros and the outtakes of my YouTube videos. So when you could only have 15-second videos on Instagram, I would do it quickly in 15 seconds, but now you can do 60-second videos, which is really great for the foodies, especially if you guys like to show how to make something.
Yeah.
So I use the video feature to drive the traffic to my blog. And if you look at my Instagram feed, you'll see the one from yesterday is that video. And if you go there, you'll see that I think it has close to 800 views, which is really good. I'm up to 776 views, and I never get that many likes on a photo. So that's a lot of views on a video. So I tend to get more views on a video than likes on a photo.
Oh, that's good to know. So don't be afraid of using video. Try it. But what I'm hearing you say is just make sure you put your best foot forward, like make it a good video. Engaging.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at my videos, they are very, very professional.
Yes.
Natalie, there's a couple people that do good videos in the fitness space. 15-second meals. What's his name? Well, I'm sure you know Zach King, but those are crazy. 15-second tech, 15-second. Oh, video meals. That's what I was thinking of. Video meals. Now, video meals, he used to do these in 15 seconds. So I'm wondering if he's going to be happier that he has more time.
I bet.
Video meals is a great inspirational foodie video. All it is videos. Every single post is a video. So, done very, very professionally. So it might be somewhat intimidating for your listeners, but at least there'll be inspiration there.
Wow. And he has 825,000 followers. That's impressive.
Oh, there's a reason. Yeah. And so what I would say to your listeners is he's only following 4 accounts. So he's following Unprocessed Food. He's following Slimy 82, Spice and a season company. Uh-huh. Oh, and then there's another really good. Oh, the food god, something. It's a really good. No, Flavor God. Oh, that's another amazing account. Flavor God. He has 2.4 million followers.
And it says it's a private account.
I wonder if he's redoing his account right now.
Okay.
He might be doing something. It's a good strategy to put your account on private when you're doing work on it.
I see.
So he might be in the middle of doing something different. Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. So in other words, I can't see his account right now, but he does a lot of video.
Not a lot, but some. He's creative. He's very creative. And then Natalie, who spoke at Social Media Marketing World with me, Natalie Jill Fit, Natalie Jill, Jill Fit, FIT. She's unbelievable with her videos. She has 500,000 followers.
Okay, that's great. So those are some good examples of sites people can look at to get some ideas.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, link all of those up in the show notes.
So I think I'm hearing what you say is one idea is to actually look at other accounts that you like and figure out what you like about them.
Absolutely. Or look at accounts that you like and look who's following those accounts. And then you really get to know the demographics of the people that are following those accounts. Look at their accounts. What are their interests? Where do they shop? Where do they travel? Do they have kids? Do they have dogs? Like, you've got to really do diligence so that you can get very, very hyper focused with your target audience. A lot of people, especially in the foodie space, because it's so freaking competitive, have no idea who their target audience is. They think it's everybody. And it's not everybody.
Right.
I know that my target audience is primarily women 40 and older that are overwhelmed with social media, and they have no idea where to start, and they want to embrace Instagram. Now, do I serve guys? Of course. Do I serve women 30 and older? Absolutely. But I know that the biggest pain points are those people, and they're the ones that most likely will pay for all my services without saying, I can't afford it.
Right.
So I know who I'm meant to serve, and you need to know. If you're in business to make money and this is not a hobby, you really need to do your homework and due diligence. And a lot of people on Instagram don't have the discipline, don't make the time, and just think all they need to do is post a photo and then their customers are going to come. Remember what I said, you don't sell on Instagram.
That makes sense. It's very, very good. Okay, a couple of questions here. Do you have any favorite third-party apps that you recommend for people to have?
I don't use any third-party apps to gamify Instagram. I use apps to create and to do some of my creatives. I like Adobe Post. It's one of the new apps that I use as of late. I used to use Fonto quite a bit, and I used to use WordSwag. Mm-hmm. I like Camera Plus as an added app to enhance the quality of photos. Mm-hmm. But to be honest with you, if you really get versed in the features inside Instagram, mm-hmm. there are so many great tools right in the app where you can just use the tool.
They've added a lot of really great filters. I think that helps.
Oh my goodness, there's 33 filters. If make sure you link up these few things for your listeners. Number one is my YouTube channel, because I have a video teaching people how to organize their filters on YouTube. Number two, invite everybody to join my free Instagram Facebook group. It's called Instagram Results with an S for Business. And make sure everyone checks out my Facebook page. It's Subi Zimmerman Enterprise, because every day we post the news, Instagram news, tools, articles. It really is an Instagram for Business page. And I think that your listeners will really appreciate that. And the last thing I want to give your listeners is my free Instagram strategy guide that you can grab right on my website.
That is wonderful. I love it. So basically people can find you online at subizimmerman.com.
Yeah. And if anyone listening that loves Snapchat, follow me on Snapchat and tell me that you came over from this podcast.
That would be great. Sue, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I've had a wonderful time.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Thanks so much to Subi Zimmerman for being my guest on today's episode of the Chopped Podcast. Be sure to go to choppedpodcast.com to buy your ticket to the Chopped Conference, learn more about today's show, and sign up for our newsletter to get the latest on all things food blogging. Tune in next week as I talk to Erin Sellen of the site Dinners, Dishes, and Desserts about her amazing Facebook strategy that has grown her followers and reach there. If you've given up on Facebook, Erin gives some great tips to get back in your Facebook groove. You won't want to miss it. You can show your support for the Chop Podcast by leaving a review on iTunes or Stitcher, or sharing about the show on social media, or even leaving a link on your own blog or podcast. And I love getting your emails too, so keep them coming. You inspire me, and I hope today's show was helpful and inspirational to the work you're doing every day. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.